I'm sure of myself as a person. I'm sure of my talent. I like the kind of person that I am.
She's the queen of country, a global icon, and one of the most beloved stars in music history. But behind the rhinestones and the warm southern charm, Dolly Parton has kept a long list of receipts. For decades, she stayed silent. She smiled. She forgave. Or so we thought. But now, at 79, it's clear. Dolly Parton didn't forget who crossed her. In interviews, memoirs, and offhand remarks, the truth has slowly surfaced. From lawsuits and betrayal, to quiet jabs from rising stars and legends alike, Dolly's story is filled with names she once trusted, then had to let go. And no, we're not just talking about gossip or petty disagreements. We're talking about lawsuits, backhanded insults, and the kind of cold rejection that even Dolly's smile couldn't hide. Stay tuned because the last person on this list will truly, and I mean truly, shock you. Number 1. Porter Wagoner, the mentor who took her to court. He discovered her. He made her a star. And then, he sued her. Porter Wagoner wasn't just Dolly Parton's duet partner, he was her gateway into national fame. In 1967, he invited her onto the Porter Wagoner Show, where millions of Americans were introduced to her voice, her presence, and her undeniable star power. Together, they dominated country television and music charts, becoming one of the genre's most recognizable duos. But the glossy stage lights masked a more complicated dynamic backstage. Wagoner was known to be strong-willed, opinionated, and at times possessive of the spotlight. As Dolly's popularity quickly eclipsed his, so did his frustration. She was no longer just his protégé. She was a rising force of her own, and she knew it. Dolly wanted more: creative freedom, solo ambitions, control over her own career. But when she made the bold decision to leave the show in 1974, Porter took it personally. He didn't see it as independence. He saw it as betrayal. Then came the bombshell. In 1979, 5 years after her departure, Porter shocked Nashville and the country music world by filing a $3 million lawsuit against her. He accused her of breach of contract and demanded a share of her future solo earnings. It was messy, it was public, and for Dolly, it was devastating. She later revealed the emotional toll in her 1994 memoir. He was jealous, he was controlling. Rather than respond with rage, she responded with a song. I Will Always Love You wasn't just a hit. It was her farewell letter to Porter. On the surface, it was tender, but beneath the lyrics was a quiet but firm declaration. She was moving on, with or without his blessing. The lawsuit nearly broke her spirit. It cast a long shadow over one of her most pivotal career transitions. Even though the two eventually reconciled before Porter's death in 2007, the pain of those years never fully faded. Dolly never publicly lashed out, but she never forgot either. And just when Dolly thought that pain was behind her, another voice came from the indie world and took a very different kind of shot. Number 2. Jeff Tweedy, the indie rock star who shrugged her off. In 2023, Jeff Tweedy, the frontman of Wilco and one of indie rock's most revered figures, was asked during an interview to name a song that didn't move him emotionally. It was meant to be a lighthearted, off-the-cuff segment, but what he said next sent a ripple through the music world. He didn't hesitate. It just never connected with me, he said, of I Will Always Love You. The reaction was swift and fierce. This wasn't just a breakup ballad, it was the ballad. A timeless masterpiece written by Dolly Parton, covered by Whitney Houston, and embedded in the cultural DNA of multiple generations. To dismiss it so casually? To suggest it lacked emotional resonance? Fans were stunned and offended. Social media lit up with outrage. Country music diehards, pop loyalists, even casual listeners piled on, defending Dolly's legacy with passion. Comment sections flooded with personal stories. First dances, funerals, heartbreaks healed by Dolly's lyrics. For many, Tweedy's comment felt like more than criticism. It felt like disrespect. And yet, Dolly said nothing. She didn't clap back. No shady tweets. No indirect rebuttals. She's never needed to trade insults to make a point. Dolly's always had a different kind of power, the kind that doesn't raise its voice. But even silence can speak volumes. Because not long after, Tweety's next project came and went. Quietly, no buzz, no chart heat, no cultural footprint. And fans began to whisper, was it just bad timing, or had he poked the wrong bear? Dolly has built a career on taking the high road, but she's not above letting karma do the heavy lifting. And this wasn't the first time someone tried to downplay her legacy. Because long before Jeff, there were friends who turned into rivals. Number 3. Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris, the trio that almost fell apart. They were a dream team, 3 voices, 3 legends, 1 album, or so it seemed. Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris, each a powerhouse in her own right, came together in what fans believed would be a perfect harmony of talent. Their voices blended like magic. Their reputations were untouchable. And when word of a joint album first surfaced, the excitement in the country and folk scenes was electric. But behind the scenes, it was far from easy. The idea for Trio had existed since the late 1970s, but the stars never quite aligned. Every time they tried to make it happen, something got in the way. Schedules clashed, record labels got territorial, and creative tensions began to simmer. Ronstadt, famously meticulous in the studio, insisted on exact takes and perfection in production. Emmylou Harris was more instinctive, steeped in country tradition and emotional honesty. And Dolly? By then, she was a cross-genre superstar, juggling blockbuster movie roles, solo albums, and a brand that was rapidly expanding beyond Nashville. Dolly kept the drama private, never airing frustrations publicly. But in later years, she offered a rare peek behind the curtain saying, "We had 3 different careers and 3 different ideas, but we loved singing together." That single sentence said it all. There was mutual respect and admiration, but also undeniable tension and limitations. When Trio finally released in 1987, it was worth the wait. The album became both a critical and commercial triumph. It won awards, revived traditional harmonies in mainstream country, and reminded the world that women could lead with elegance and strength. Still, despite the success, the project never evolved into a lasting collaboration. Follow-ups were slow, and reunions were few and far between. It was clear the 3 women were being pulled in separate directions by their individual careers. For all their vocal unity, Trio was a fleeting chapter, not a permanent band. And just when it seemed like Dolly was finally getting her flowers, another voice, stronger, younger, and global, reclaimed one of her greatest works. Number 4. Whitney Houston, a song that overshadowed her. I Will Always Love You became one of the biggest songs of all time, thanks to Whitney Houston's breathtaking, emotionally charged cover in The Bodyguard. Her version shattered records, topped charts worldwide, and introduced the ballad to a whole new generation. It became a pop culture phenomenon, immortalized in movies, commercials, and countless tribute performances. But with all the attention focused on Whitney, something strange began to happen. For a while, people forgot Dolly had written it. There were whispers in the industry, quiet speculation. Did Dolly feel erased from her own legacy? Was she quietly stewing as the spotlight shifted? But if there was bitterness, Dolly never showed it. When asked how she felt about the cover, she responded with trademark grace. I cried when I heard it, but I didn't cry because of the money. I cried because it was so beautifully done. That said, Dolly isn't just emotional, she's smart. She held on to the publishing rights. And when a producer once approached her about selling those rights for the movie, she politely declined. Instead, she made millions in royalties and later revealed she used the money to buy a strip mall in Nashville. She did it her way, quietly, strategically, and without a hint of bitterness. Respectfully. But even family can cause tension. And when your goddaughter turns into the most controversial star in pop music, you're bound to have a few things to say. Number 5. Miley Cyrus, the goddaughter. She let go, her own way. Miley Cyrus has always been bold. Wild hair, wild performances, and a career that evolved far beyond Hannah Montana. She didn't just shed her Disney image, she torched it. From controversial VMA appearances to provocative music videos, Miley's transformation was anything but subtle. And through it all, fans and tabloids alike wondered, what did Dolly Parton think? After all, she wasn't just a fellow artist. She was Miley's godmother. Some speculated that Dolly was quietly horrified, that she disapproved of the antics, the headlines, the radical shift from child star to cultural lightning rod. But Dolly, ever the master of grace and restraint, refused to fan those flames. "I've told her things only a godmother can say," she said in a 2023 interview. "But I let her be herself." It was classic Dolly, supportive but measured. There was no public feud, no harsh criticism, just gentle guidance, and maybe a little quiet disappointment between the lines. Dolly continued to support Miley even when it wasn't popular or easy. She praised her talent, her independence, and her boldness, even if the world wasn't always ready for it. And if there were difficult conversations behind closed doors, they stayed there. But not every critic is so anonymous. Because years ago, during a roundtable discussion, someone said something Dolly would never forget. Number 6. The younger star who called her irrelevant. Rumored, but not proven. In the early 2010s, during a televised industry panel, an up-and-coming country artist, young, confident, and full of swagger, allegedly made a remark that sent a chill through the room. She hasn't mattered to country radio in 20 years. The moment was subtle, almost throwaway. But those who were there say the silence that followed was deafening. No one challenged him. No one defended her. It hung in the air like smoke. Dolly, always the professional, never addressed it directly. She didn't name names, didn't fire back. But her response came months later, quietly, and with precision. That same artist invited her to perform a duet on his national tour. A big show, sold-out crowds, cameras ready. Dolly declined. According to insiders close to her team, the message that leaked was unmistakable. Why sing with someone who thinks you're obsolete? There's no confirmed footage, no public denial, but the story has lived online for years. Whispered in forums, repeated in interviews, and speculated about by fans who know Dolly doesn't forget. Because when Dolly Parton chooses silence, it's never empty. It's a decision, a statement, and if this story is true, it means Dolly's silence is sometimes louder than any lyric she's ever written. Dolly Parton may be made of rhinestones and charm, but behind that sparkle is steel. For decades, she gave the world grace, humor, and heart. But now, her quiet reckonings are becoming public. Some scars never fully heal. Some voices never stop singing, and some legends never forget. Which of these stories surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more untold truths from country legends, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Because this isn't the last secret Dolly's been keeping.